this video, I'm going to show you how you can calculate your own birth chart. You might know your sun sign, your moon sign, maybe your ascendant, but what about all the other planets? The Vedic Astrology software that I'm going to introduce you to is free to download, and it will give you all the astrological information you ever gonna need. I'm using this software myself since over 10 years, and all the great teachers I've ever associated with, they're also using this software. So I've created a PDF for you. You can download it in the description down below. And while you're going down to download it, don't forget to give a like to the video and also subscribe for more deep insights into Vedic astrology and Vedic philosophy. The PDF looks like this. You can download the program by following this link. And then here are 4 recommended settings. But don't worry, we're going over these settings one by one later within the software. So the program is made for Windows, but it is also possible to run it on Linux and Mac. You will just have to install a Wine. On the Mac, it's called Wine Skill, and that will allow you to run these simple Windows softwares within a Linux or Mac computer. I highly recommend you to use a laptop or a computer for your astrology. It will give you so much more information. You can so much have deeper insights. If you do not have a laptop or access to a computer, then on page 2 and page 3 of this PDF, I've included a link for a recommended app, either for iPhone or for Android. So let us have a look at the website where you can download the PDF. It is the website of PVR Narasimha Rao. He's a very famous Vedic astrologer, and his Jagannath Hora, it's a great blessing for the Vedic astrology community. He has his own YouTube channel. He's also quite active on X, Twitter. He makes great predictions about world events. Please check it out. He's a great astrologer. If you scroll down a little bit on this side, you have here this section where you have 3 download options. The first one will not be relevant for you because this is only for updating from earlier versions to newer versions. And then here is the light version, which has less cities that are stored within the database. And here the full version where there are more cities in the database. So this is recommended if your internet connection and your laptop can handle it, just go for the second options. So just press here and download it. Once you have it downloaded, it will look like this. It is a zip file, so you just have to extract it here. This is already done here. And within this folder, you have this installation application. If you're on Windows, you just click this and you're almost done. If you're on Linux or on Mac, you will have to run this one here through the Wine application. So the Wine application looks like this on Linux. It's a Wine Tricks. And first of all, you have to tell you want to run the default Wine Prix, or wine prefix, excuse me. And then you run the Explorer. Then you have to just find in which folder this installation file is. I have already placed it in the very root folder here of my home folder. So it's a bit easier to find for me. You have to go to the computers and choose the right disk. It will be not PC because this is for the Wine especially. In my case, it is in the set. So you just have open all and see here set. You have to go to home and then to your root user, and then here it is. So if you are on Windows, this one will not be needed. You can directly just start it and you will get the setup menu. And here it's very easy. You just play next, accept agreement, next, then next, and then you can install it. I will not install it because I've already installed it. That's it. Very easy. The software looks like this. You have here various diagrams which show the chart and divisional charts. You have here each planet and ascendants with its exact degree. And you have here all the details from the date, the time zone, the place, and all the Panchanga, Tithi, the Lord of the Hour, the Karana Yoga, all the important information are here. So as the first thing we're going to do together is we're going through the recommended settings. So the first setting is the Ayanamsa. So the Ayanamsa, that is in the sidereal astrology, this is how we calculate the exact zodiacs. So there are various different ways to calculate it, and various different schools of astrology consider different fixed stars as their orientation. It looks like this. Within the software, it looks like this. You have to go to Preferences, Related to Calculation, and here Ayanamsa. And here you have a bunch of Ayanamsas that are to choose from. My recommended Ayanamsa is the Rohini Paksha Ayanamsa. And that is that Aldebaran, that is the very, very bright star, which is in the constellation of Taurus, is in the middle of Rohini Nakshatra. And from that, the whole zodiac is then calculated, right? And this is called Rohini Paksha. Generally in India, Vedic astrologers, they like to use the Lahiri Paksha, which does the same principle, but they take the star Spica, should be in the middle of Chitra Nakshatra. If you see now, like right here, the ascendant is at 27 degrees Taurus, and 34 arc minutes. And that is Rohini Paksha, because that is my preferred Ayanamsa. If I change it to True Lahiri, you will see this number will change. It is now 26 degrees Taurus and 50 minutes. It's approximately 47 or 43 arc minutes difference. So the Rohini Paksha is a little bit more in front than the Lahiri in this case. So the Rohini Paksha is a little bit more in front than the Lahiri. But that is important to know, that you have this option here to change this. So because some astrologer will tell you, oh, your sun is in this sign, and the other astrologer will tell you in that sign. That is because they're using different Ayanamsas, and they're doing so according to their school. So from whomever you learn astrology, I suggest you follow their guidelines, so it will be streamlined and you will not be confused. All right, so I'm putting back to Lahiri Ayanamsa, and it will be on 34, I think here. Yes, 34. So it's around 44 minutes difference. That is the first settings. Then the second settings is in regards to the nodes, means Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu and Ketu, they have not a homogeneous movement. They're not moving in the same speed all the time. They have some back and forth at some times. And true nodes means that the software will consider their different speeds. Sometimes they're faster, slower, going backwards, and so on. Whereas when you put mean nodes, it will not consider this. So in the software, it looks like this. You have to go to Preferences, Related to Calculations, then Planet Calculation Options. And here at the bottom, you have here the option between mean nodes and true nodes. So the recommendation is to use true nodes. You can see the difference. Rahu now is at 0 degrees and 12 minutes. If mean nodes, because that's the one I have, if I change to true nodes, you will see this will change. And now it is 28 degrees Pisces. So it's quite a difference. It's around 2 degrees difference. So make sure that you change the settings to true nodes. Then the next preference is in regards to the sunrise time. So the sunrise time is very important to calculate the Hora Lord. And also the Muhurta. You have here the Gatis and Muhurtas. These calculations, they are depending on the sunrise time. And just 1 minute, 2 minutes difference in the sunrise time can change this Hora and the Gatis. And therefore, the recommended setting is again preferences related to calculation. And you go here to sunrise, sunset. And you choose the one on the very bottom. The center of the sun disk appears to be at the eastern horizon. Then the fourth setting, and that is just for practical reasons, is that you set your current location, there where you are, where you live, you set this as the default location. You can do this in this way. For instance, let's change the place here to Paris in France. And I have now changed to Paris, France. You can go to preferences and here set current location as default. When you press this, then whenever you open the software, whenever you start the software, it will immediately calculate the chart for that very moment, for that very place. So for instance, I will just make a new chart now. It will immediately switch back to my default location in Langenthal, Switzerland at the very time I'm right now. Now it's 1747 at that time. So this is very practical if you want to see what's just going on right now. Let's say you just had a fight with your wife and you want to see, oh, why did we fight? And then you see, oh yeah, ascendant is conjunct to Mars and it is like Saturn Hora. It's very intense time like that. So it's very practical that when you start the software, you have your location calculated. So therefore, choose here in the birth data your location you are in. We're going to do this more in detail just in a minute. And then here, set current location as default. So before we are going to calculate the birth chart, we first should understand how to read these diagrams, right? Here are so many diagrams. So the one that is really relevant at this point is only this one here. This is which is called Rasi. That is the actual birth chart, how the planets are placed within the zodiacs, within the stars at the time of your birth or at this very moment in this case. The other charts here, they are mathematical abstractions of this chart, and that is a subject matter for another video. So definitely don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will not miss all the deep insights that I'm going to share with you. Right. All right. So how to understand this? We can see here ascendant, the Sanskrit name of ascendant is Lagna, is in Gemini, 11 degrees Gemini. So I have created this picture for you. You can also download this picture in the description below. And I suggest you print it out and keep it beside your computer. Then very easily and very quickly you will memorize how to read this. So the South Indian style of chart reading, or the chart, is always, the zodiacs are always in a fixed position. You have always Aries here, and then you go around Taurus, Gemini. Wait, better I'll show you this in this way. You have here Pisces, Aries starts here, then Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. So, and it's always fixed position. Always in this position, always Aries is there. And here's always Capricorn, here's always Cancer. There's always Virgo, there's always Pisces. When you then look at the birth chart, you can know here Rahu and Jupiter, they are in Aries. The ascendant is in Gemini. Venus, Moon and Ketu, they are in Libra. Mars and the Sun, they're in Scorpio. Mercury is in Sagittarius. Saturn is in Aquarius, right? And Saturn is where in Aquarius exactly? So you go here, 8 degrees Aquarius and 7 minutes, 53.56 seconds. So this is the exact position of Saturn. Here, Jupiter has these brackets around. That means it is retrograde. The retrograde motion of the planets is that they're usually always moving westwards from one zodiac sign to the other. But the 5 starry planets, that means Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, sometimes they're moving backwards. They have different speeds. They're moving this way and then they move backwards. So there will be a retrograde planet in retrogression. The sun, the moon, they never retrograde. They always move forward. Rahu and Ketu, they're always retrograde. They always move in this way. They're a little bit wobbling, but in general, they always move backwards. So that means Rahu and Ketu, they always move in this direction. Jupiter, all the other planets, they move in that direction, but sometimes they move in the other direction. In this case, Jupiter does that. And retrograde planets, they're very strong because they're going kind of like against the tides, right? So this is how you can understand this diagram. And here you can get all the detailed degrees from this. So now let us calculate the birth chart, right? So for here, let us take the example of Elon Musk. So I've Googled Elon Musk birth chart and we go here to AstroSeek. And we have here the details. 28 June 1971, 7:30 local time. Here also it gives the universal time, but that is not relevant for us. The software always works with local time. So you need always 3 things to calculate your birth chart or anyone's birth chart. And that is the date, the time, and the place. So these 3 things, they are necessary to calculate the birth chart. So let us calculate Elon Musk birth chart, right? So for calculating a birth chart, you can go here to edit and birth data. Then the month, in this case it is June. The date is the 28th. The year 1971. Calendar, always Gregorian calendar. I've never had a case where I had to change this. Then the birth time is 7:30. If you don't have exact time, it's always best practice to put the seconds to 0. Here, gender doesn't matter actually for us. We're not going to use this Gemini Dashas anyway. But we know he's male, so let's put male here. And then the city. So Pretoria is the city. I just paste it here. And choose the country. This is New Sea, South. I'm just pressing on my keyboard the S. So I'm going through all the countries with S until I find South Africa and then calculate the rest of the world. If you're in the United States, you'll have to put in your states and then press this button. If outside of the United States, you put the city and country and then press this button. Now we have to check whether this is actually really the software chose the right city. It's Pretoria, South Africa. There are two Pretorias in South Africa. One is at 25 degrees south, one is on 30 degrees south. So which one it is? Luckily here we have the exact detail. It is 25 degrees south and 28 degrees east. So this one will be the correct one. The software always correctly calculates the daylight savings also and the time time zones. There are maybe a few cases where where you have to double check. Like for instance, my wife is from Bali, and Bali in the 1990 or something, around that time, they changed the time zone. They went from Jakarta time, which is 1 hour backwards, to 1 hour earlier into another time zone. And the software doesn't calculate this correctly. So in her case, I have to go manually and change here the time zone. But in general, there should be no issue here. But you can always double check it's correct. But it's most of the time that's the only case I found that it has not been correct. So once you have chosen the right city, you can just go for it here. Here's a short side note. I had once a client from Helsinki. And if you see here, you go for Helsinki. That's in Finland, right? Helsinki. You also have 2 Helsinkis here. And I actually first used the wrong one, but once I had the reading, then it became evident that the birth chart was not correctly calculated, and then I had to do it again because I didn't choose the right city here. So how can you be very sure? Let's say you are yourself from Helsinki, which one is the correct one? So in Elon Musk case, we had here the information. We can double check here. In case you don't have that, then you can go to Maps, Google Maps. So you navigate to Helsinki here, and you double click on it. Yeah. So when you have double clicked on Helsinki, usually you get here all the information about Helsinki. But what is important is that in the URL of this of the browser, you get here the exact coordinates of the city. So this is 60 degrees north and 24 degrees east, right? And we have here 2 cities, Helsinki. One is at 24 degrees east and one is 21 degrees east. So that means this Helsinki is the correct one in this case. So that's good to know that you can use, in case you will not find your place inside the database here, you can always go to Google Maps and fill in the longitude and altitude. The longitude is always the second number and the altitude is the first number. Here, the altitude is this one, is the first number in Google Maps, and the longitude is the second number in Google Maps. So a cool feature of this software is that you can save it. So you can make your own database. Basically, you can create your own folder somewhere. You go here, you go to your documents, can make your own folder, like I already made it. Before we stop with the video, I'm going to show you a few very cool features of the software. So we've already discussed how to calculate the birth chart. This is here under Edit Birth Data. Then how to read this, use this picture to understand how to read this. Then here you can see the detailed degrees of each placement. Then here you can see the Panchanga. This is maybe in the beginning not so very relevant, but I'm going to do some content about these Panchangas, and then this will become very important. And now let us have a look at the aspects. This is really cool. You can go here with a right click. You can choose Planetary Aspect Evaluation. So the aspects is because each planet has a certain glance. So like the way I'm looking at you right now, also planets, they look at each other. And But the simple rule is that every planet looks exactly opposite of its direction. So if a planet is exactly opposite, like I'm exactly opposite you, then this is a 100% aspect. If you move a little bit out, if you would move a little bit out of the, then the degree of aspect reduces. So here you can see how much the planets are affected by the other planets through the aspect, through their glance. So in the case of Elon Musk, the Sun has an 81-degree aspect of Jupiter. So that is very auspicious. It is quite strong. Everything above 50% is considerable, and above 75% can be considered strong. Then, for instance, here his moon is aspected by 100% by Mars. So this is very significant. So Mars in Capricorn, like he has Mars in Capricorn, is exalted, is very strong, and it is affecting to 100% his moon. That means the quality of Mars will be very much with him, because the moon is the mind, is the emotions, how you feel, how to see the world, how you emotionally react to the world. So in his case, there is a lot of Mars energy in that, and a very positive Mars energy, because Mars is in a very auspicious position. So therefore, he's a kind of also warrior for justice, for a better world, kind of. So that we can see it's a very remarkable that he has 100% aspect of Mars on the moon. The moon is also strongly aspected by Rahu. Rahu, that is a bit different topic that we have to talk about separately. But Saturn aspect is also considerable, 70%. So in this way, you can calculate your chart, and then you can see which planets are aspecting which planets. So the most significant is the moon, because that is how we feel. So if you would have a Saturn aspect on moon, it will make you sad. If you have a Jupiter aspect on the moon, it will make you feel more lighthearted and very positive. You always feel, you always see the good in people if you have Jupiter aspecting the moon, and so on. Also, Lagna aspects are very interesting. So you can look at that, play around with that. That's a great source of information. You can go back by choosing longitude and basic infos. Then the next very important feature is here the Dashas. The Dashas, that is a concept unique to Vedic astrology, and it says that during a certain period, or there is a certain planetary period where this planet exhibits its significations. So if you have a planet that is a very bad placement, but you never go through the dasha of that planet, that means all the bad things that this planet actually signifies will not so much affect you during your life. And in opposite, if you have a very strong planet, but you never run through the dasha of the strong planet, the planet cannot really manifest to the full extent. So it's very important to consider the dasha, and you can see this here in this tab, this Dasha tab. And there is different levels. It starts with the Mahadasha. This is a period of 120 years. And you can see, like, for instance, Elon Musk at this moment, 2023, is here in the Rahu Mahadasha. And then you have the sub-periods. He is now currently in the Venus Antardasha. Rahu Mahadasha and Venus Antardasha, and then now again Rahu on Pratyantardasha. So there are many levels down. So then a next feature, which is really cool, is here when you go to strengths and then other strengths, then you can see here all the yogas. So yogas, this is planetary combinations. If you have certain planets placed in a certain pattern, this will create yogas. And there are these yogas that are mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. They will say, for instance, you can look at here at one yoga, Vajra Yoga. This is when Mercury in a Kendra, in Mula Trikona, or own or exaltation sign. So Mercury is here. Mercury here, is here in Gemini. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It's its own house. And he is in the first house from the ascendant. So that means Kendra is 1, 4, 7, and 10. These houses. These are the Kendra houses. And Mercury is strong, is in own sign in Kendra. And that makes the Vajra Yoga. And the effect of Vajra Yoga is that he's learned, cheerful, and helps relatives. So in the same way, for instance, Raja Yoga is also, or let's not Mercury, let's go for Gajra Yoga. That is a combination between Moon and Jupiter. And they are in mutual Kendras, means 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth house from Jupiter. Moon is there in Jupiter is in the fourth house from Jupiter, and Jupiter and Moon is in the 10th house from Jupiter. So this is mutual Kendras, and that will create this Gajra Yoga, and that will be fame and good income, good wealth, right? So this is fun to see. So with this software, there is so much more to explore. But just these basic things, your chart, the exact details, the dashas, and aspects here. A planetary aspect evaluation, yes. This is enough for your first 5-6 years of astrology. This is everything you're going to need. Once you have mastered that, you can move on to the other things. But everything you're ever going to need, as I promised you, you have here in this software. So thank you very much for paying attention to the very end. I hope it was insightful. I have more videos like this coming very soon. The next one will be mastering chart reading within 1 hour. So stay tuned for that, and I'm looking forward to see you there.